Yeah, you do have to be careful what you say, what comes out of your mouth. You have to use some discretion. You have to you choose your words wisely. You know, because sometimes when words come out of your mouth, you can't take them back. You can apologize for them, but oftentimes the damage is already done once those words leave your mouth. Even the Bible, even ancient wisdom tells us that. Proverbs, biblically speaking, and it's not just from the Judeo-Christian Hebrew Bible that instructs us how to use words and what to say, how to say it, and what tone and what manner to say it. Other religious writings deal with that same topic because it's a universal politeness. It's a universal code of ethics. It's a universal humane, spiritual way of dealing with other members of humanity. You're supposed to be cordial and respectful, and you're supposed to be honorable. You're not supposed to be disgraceful. You're not supposed to be inhumane. You're not supposed to be uh, unkind, unloving. You're supposed to be considerate. You know that in life, if we just stop for a minute and just got out of our little economic, commercial, commerce bubble where it's all we think about is what can I achieve for myself, from my conceited path, from my conceited desires. If we just stop for a moment and realize and look at the big picture, that life itself is fragile. There's more to life than just trying to acquire and amass for yourself whatever it is that you want for yourself. It's all about self, isn't it? Yeah, with little flirts of helping others. Yeah, you try to. That's sometimes people do that just to make themselves feel better about themselves because they feel guilty for just being all in for themselves in their own pursuits in their own little bubble. Sometimes they don't recognize what's going on around them because they're so self-absorbed. Uh, I've been there for a little while. I never really put it to full use. If I did, I would have achieved a lot more, a significant amount more in this life than what I've achieved. I've kind of just been all about. I've been self-absorbed, but I never put it to positive use. I was just out to have out for personal pleasure, for fun. Drinking parties, chasing tail, if you will. But that's all. That's all it was about. It's just for temporary pleasure, temporary. It wasn't. It had nothing. There was nothing of permanence. It was all temporary. So it wasn't long lasting. It wasn't structured, or it wasn't goal oriented. It was just meandering. So I have some regrets, but I learned some lessons nonetheless. I learned some valuable lessons about, because I'm not the only one who does that. There's probably millions of people who have no other ambitions except to live for the moment, to seek pleasure for all it is worth. They don't put in the time and effort to achieve any kind of trophies or academic achievements, or monetary achievements, or whatever. If they want notoriety or fame or fortune, yeah, they put their energies into those, and a lot of times they're able to achieve it if they have the right mentors, the right teachers, and they make a serious effort towards those goals, towards those wants. But when it's all said and done, either way, the proverbs say the rich and the poor alike end up in the same area. At the end, they end up meeting God. to give accounts for their lives. So one's gonna have one will be recognized and promoted in society, and oh, this person was great. He gave to all these foundations. He was a member of this group. He was a member of that group. He was doing all these good deeds and works. And then, of course, the other person is going to be poor, doesn't have any kind of credentials, doesn't have any kind of recommendations or any kind of trophies or exaltations, either from himself or from others. But both are going to stand before God. And guess what? Depending on who your God is, and what you banked on for security for the afterlife, you're going to be standing either on shaky ground or you're going to be standing on solid ground. And solid ground is believing in the right God, believing in the right faith, believing in the right beliefs. I respect other beliefs. I respect other philosophies, other teachings. Because there's a grain of truth in anything that's people have believed in throughout all of history. There's truth in everything. There's mythology, yes, but there's truth about life. The philosophers, a lot of the Greek philosophers spoke truth, but they weren't infallible. Neither were their teachings or doctrines. There was discrepancies. They're coming at it from us. They have a tainted view oftentimes because they incorporate just their own experiences into it. And sometimes your own experiences can be not arbitrary, but subjective, not objective, because you're just going on, you have to compare, you have to make comparisons with others and what's going on around the world universally in order to get to the truth. Oftentimes you do have to compare to get to the truth. You have to see contrast, you have to see differences. That's how you discover truth, because you see what works, what doesn't work. It's a scientific method. You're applying the scientific method. That's how you get to truth. You don't just start with, you can start with theories, which is conjecture and hypotheses, but they're gonna stay there in the what if scenarios, not proven true yet category. Like the theory of Darwinian evolution is not provable yet. It's still considered a theory, like many other theories. Even in creationism, there's a lot of theories going on because because obviously none of us were there, thousands of years ago, billions or trillions of years ago. We only have what's recorded for us on cuneiform tablets or manuscripts or hieroglyphics, and we try to interpret those to the best of our ability, but there's still a lot of unknowns because there's been a lot of cataclysms. There's been a lot of destruction on this earth due to asteroids, meteors, floods, wars, earthquakes. Whole cities were swallowed up by earthquakes. That's why we have these stories of the Atlantis, and we do find, because of our modern radar and modern equipment, we can now research the bottom of the oceans, and we find all these sunken cities, massive cities that were once above ground on land, and they sunk into the ocean. So there's evidence, of course, of the Earth changing its orbit, changing its position in its the way, how it's arranged in its current order in the galaxy. There's evidence that the way the planets are located, they weren't always in their current location. That there's evidence of planetary collisions, the asteroid belt. There's evidence of, and all these asteroids and big chunks of rock planet that are still floating around. There's big chunks of planets that are floating around in space.